Hi everyone, it is time for another fragrance review, and these are so fun. I love doing fragrance oil reviews. It's really fun and addicting to try new fragrance oils. So the candle company we're reviewing today is Morouge, I think is how you pronounce it, but I'm not entirely sure. It's M-O-R-O-U-G-E, and I've never tested their oils before. I have a blast doing these. I like smelling them out of the bottle, and then I like doing tests with them, as you're gonna see throughout this video. A little bit of the footage of me making these candles and or at least making these test candles for the purpose of testing the hot throw. Also, I know a lot of people are going to ask this question. They do on all the fragrance oil review videos that I do, where I actually make tester candles. I always get asked about what wick sizes I'm using in the jars that I'm testing with. I just throw in a wick that is just kind of a best guess based off of previous testing, but I'm not testing for like perfect wicking when I'm doing these. I'm really focused on the fragrance oils themselves. I'm not turning into a mad scientist trying to figure out the exact wick size and the right wick type to use. I hope that makes sense, and I hope everyone understands that. I really like to focus on the oils themselves. I wanted to just kind of get that out of the way first because I know some of those questions will come. But let's talk about today's fragrance oil review. I'm excited about this one for a couple of reasons. One is because they are a fragrance oil company that also makes their own candles and bath and body products. They're really involved in the entire industry as a whole as far as handcrafted and home and body products go. Now, this isn't the first company we've done that with. We have tested other fragrance oils from other companies that were in that same situation. But I do enjoy seeing former or current candle makers selling these oils as well, because they want to use a product that they are comfortable with in their own candles, their own products. I just generally feel really confident about using materials sold by others that use the same materials themselves in their own products. Another thing that I find interesting is that this candle company is actually based in Canada. This is the first fragrance oil company that I have tested that is outside of the US. However, they also sell to the US. So they're Canada and the US, but this could be really, really helpful for those of you that are in Canada looking for another fragrance oil company. Many of you reach out to me asking if I could review or if I knew of any other suppliers in Canada. Well, here you go. But again, I'm in the US, they send them to me in the US. For any particulars or specifics on who they serve, I would encourage you reaching out to them. I don't know other than the US and Canada at this time. So I have already talked with them, and they are super nice and super helpful and responsive. So definitely encourage you to get with them through their website and ask them any questions you may have. So speaking of their website, I will leave it in the link to their website in the description below. If you stick around to the end of this video, I'm also going to provide you with a little bit other information that might help you if you want to try out some of their oils. So enough of my babbling, let's get into the actual fragrance oils. I was sent 8 different fragrance oils, and real quick I'm going to give you my feedback on each of them out of the bottle and how the testing went as far as hot throw. One last note when it comes to the hot throw testing is bear in mind that I tested all of these in a 50-50 parasoy wax, and then I dabbled a couple others in a few other waxes as well. But the reason I do that is it kind of gives you an idea of how it's going to perform overall. Most fragrance oils are going to perform better in waxes like paraffin or heavy parasoy blends, and then they're usually softer in soy waxes and coconut waxes. However, that's not always the case. That's not a hard, fast rule. There's obviously exceptions to those rules, and it really depends on finding the right oil and wax combination. But that being said, the hot throw that I am testing was used in a 50-50 parasoy, so you might have better or worse hot throw with some of these oils than I do. Let's start with the first one, which is a Brandied Pear fragrance oil. Now, again, I have not used any of these oils from this company before, so all of these are new to me. Brandied Pear is a fragrance oil that I'm familiar with, at least from other companies, at least with that name of Brandied Pear. First thing I'll tell you is it's a little different than the other Brandied Pears that I've used before. I have a Brandied Pear in my line of candles, and this one has a little bit more of an apple scent to me. I mean, it's very kind of true apple fragrance in the bottle. One of those, apple and a pear kind of mix. But I don't smell as much of the brandied effect as I do from the other ones that I've used. I will say that I actually enjoyed this one a little bit better in the bottle versus the hot throw. And some of these others was the opposite effect. But in this particular case, I was more excited about the smell, the fragrance out of the bottle as I was when it was burning. Not that it wasn't good when it was burning, it just wasn't as strong as I thought it might have been, because it's fairly potent out of the bottle, but it was a little bit softer. The more I burned it, I actually started to pick up the notes a little bit more, so maybe I just needed to give it a little bit more time. Moving around different areas of the house, which is the other thing I do with all these test candles, is I move them around to make sure I'm testing them in different size rooms and things like that. And I will say that as I burn that candle a little bit more, I did pick up more and more of the fragrance. And I do really enjoy this fragrance. It's just at this time, I think I like my Brandied Pear a little bit more. But that's just personal preference. Like, we're all gonna have different opinions on fragrance oils. Let's move to the Raspberry Mojito. What's funny about fragrance oils, and I think we all do this, is that before I even open this, is that we all have our own predispositions to what we think something's gonna smell like, just based off of the name. My oldest son was with me when I was checking these out initially, and it was funny that we almost agreed 100% on all of these oils. Him and I have different tastes sometimes on some other candles that I have or the ones that I make, but we were like on par with each other with all of these oils. The reason I mention that is because when I see things like a raspberry or a grape or a cherry, I'm almost always expecting some kind of overly fruity, sometimes medicinal smell. But Mojito is another one that sometimes I just kind of feel like I know what this is gonna smell like before I even open it. And this was one of those. Just like I kind of expected, it kind of has that fruity medicinal smell. That is my opinion on these, but a lot of people love that fragrance, that type of smell. Cherries, raspberries, I love eating them, but I don't enjoy smelling them as much as other people do. So like I said, I had a feeling what this was gonna smell like before I opened it just based off the name. And it confirmed what I expected out of the bottle. And sometimes that's not fair. Sometimes we have that confirmation bias where we're expecting something, and then once we test it, we mold it to meet our expectations. But it is what it is. Raspberry Mojito is not one of my personal favorites, but that isn't specific to this one or this company. I'm not a fan of those type of fragrances for the most part, which is weird because I do like fruity smells sometimes. I just never been a fan of these type of fragrances. I wanted to start with those two because they were two of my least favorites out of the bottle. The rest of these, I absolutely love them all. I'm gonna start off with one that was a complete opposite of the first two, and that is pipe tobacco. Every single fragrance oil company has some type of pipe or tobacco type fragrance, and they all vary quite a bit. I have some that I've absolutely loved, some that I can't stand, some that I'm like, how is that a pipe tobacco fragrance? There's just so many variations of this, and so I really enjoy testing these ones out because I like seeing the variability. And like I said, me and my son agreed on this. This was my least favorite out of the bottle. Like, I really didn't like it at all. So I just assumed that even in a finished candle, I wasn't not gonna enjoy this fragrance oil. It's so strong, it's so potent, and again, in all fairness, almost all fragrance oils are out of the bottle. But I'm not a huge, like, I have a tobacco candle that I really enjoy, but it's on the sweet side. I'm not a huge fan of these type of tobacco scents, so I just wasn't a fan out of the bottle. But, man, I tell you, this was one of the better ones out of all the oils here sent. It certainly was the strongest hot throw. It had the best hot throw by far. The more I used this one, the more I enjoyed it. And everyone in the house did too. This became the most popular of all of these in my house of 5 people. So I would certainly give this one a shot if you're looking for a new tobacco type fragrance. And don't judge it entirely out of the bottle because it is strong and it makes you kind of wince a little bit. It had such great hot throw and a really good, like, all the notes really worked together when this one was burning. Great job on the pipe tobacco. Now next is Oud Bergamot. This one really appeals to me because I love bergamot. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of like a soft men's cologne with the bergamot added. Again, wasn't super strong hot throw, but again, that wicking, wax, all of that affects that. So I don't want to talk about the strength of the hot throw as much as I want to focus on the characteristics and the notes and the profiles of these fragrances. I don't have a fragrance like this in my line, so I'm pretty interested in this one, and I'd like to do a little bit more testing with this one myself to see if it's something that I could use in the future. Similarly was oak and whiskey. So I have a whiskey fragrance, and whiskey is a very polarizing fragrance. Some people think it's potent and overpowering and too much, and almost everyone recommends that you mix it with something. They've done that work for you by mixing it with a little bit of oak, which you assume is going to soften it, but also give it a little bit of an outdoorsy smell. It definitely does. I don't smell a ton of whiskey in this. I definitely smell more of the oak, which that's not a bad thing, just kind of an observation. If you're looking for a whiskey type fragrance and definitely something on the softer side as far as the whiskey goes, then this is a great one to try. I was mostly testing this one in the smaller and mid-sized rooms, and it smelled really good. Like, I actually had this one burning in my office most of the time, and I really enjoyed it. It's such a natural type fragrance that you almost forget it's a candle. Like, there's nothing synthetic about it. Actually, I should mention that about all of these. These are very kind of natural smelling, non-chemical or non-synthetic smelling fragrance oils, which I really enjoy. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here at the end. But sometimes you just forget that these are candles, that these are fragrance oils. You just feel like there's something good smelling in the air. I don't know if that makes any sense. Or like you might feel like you're sitting outside, or you feel like someone's baking, or you feel like someone's mixing a drink. It just has very natural, real undertones to it. So I really enjoyed it. Two more left. The next one is Wild Figs. This was another one that me and my son were not too fond of out of the bottle. Well, I should say this was the only one we differed a little bit on it. He didn't like it because it was so strong and woodsy smelling. And he didn't really smell much of the figs or anything. And I was trying to explain to him that it's more like the fig plant, right? The fig trees, not the fruit itself. I kind of like these type of fragrance oils, so I was okay with that. The only reason that this one didn't kind of jump out at me as a favorite is I have so many oils that smell sort of like this. Like there was nothing that stood out or that was that unique to me, and I couldn't differentiate this Wild Figs from other kind of woodsy scents. The hot throw on it was good, and I actually enjoyed it a little bit more burning than I did out of the bottle. Again, some of these ones where they're really potent in the bottle, you're just smelling those top notes. But once you start burning them and it starts to release the middle and the bottom notes, you start getting a more balanced fragrance oil, which is why I always test fragrances in a candle as well, and not just out of the bottle, because I just don't think you're getting the clear picture all the time. And I want to thank them for sending me these testers, but also sending me ones that were large enough for me to do quite a bit of testing with, because that gives me a much better idea, and I feel like I give better information when I'm testing these candles. So another one that out of the bottle wasn't my favorite, but as it was burning, it definitely grew on me, and you could definitely start to pick up all the undertones of the other notes. The last one we're going to review is one called Memories. I go back and forth on fragrance oils that are named very specific of what the actual notes are, because I really enjoy that. But I also sometimes get intrigued when I get a fragrance oil that I have no idea what that's going to smell like, because I feel like it's a game and it's fun to play. And so I had no idea what Memories was going to smell like at all. And I'm just going to take another whiff of this. This was my favorite as well as my son's out of the bottle, which that actually shocked me that he enjoyed it so much, because it has a little bit of a woman's perfume scent to it. And I don't know what else. It's so hard to explain. I don't know if there's some kind of vanilla. There's something sweet mixed in as well. And actually, I guess we can look at some of the notes right on the bottle. Yeah, almond milk, bergamot. Bergamot, that explains why I like it. Jasmine, carnation, sandalwood, and cashmere. It's a complex fragrance oil. We both loved it out of the bottle. It wasn't as strong hot throw as I was hoping it would be. And I say that because I loved it so much that I didn't mind if it was going to be really, really strong. But again, wax, wicking, all of those have an effect on hot throw. So I keep saying I don't want to focus on the strength of hot throw yet. I'm the one that keeps bringing it up. I love this fragrance. It is easily one of my favorites, if not the favorite of scent. Like I said, the pipe tobacco was great overall because the scent grew on me and it had excellent hot throw. But if I just had to choose a fragrance out of the simple smell of it, it would either be this one or the Oud Bergamot. Coincidentally, they both have bergamot in them. And I really actually enjoy the name Memories, because when I was smelling this, I was actually picturing like a date night or like an event. Like I was somewhere celebrating something special, or with a date, and the perfume that they're wearing. I think that the name was absolutely perfect because it makes you think of something that you had done before. Like I said, a celebration or an event. And so Memories was an absolutely perfect name for this. On their website, they sell a candle with that name. So it makes perfect sense to me. Really enjoyed this fragrance. It was my favorite of the bunch. And I'm looking forward to testing these a little bit more and seeing if which ones I might introduce into my own candle line. Let's wrap this up with talking a little bit more about the company, as well as I have a discount code to offer you as well. As I mentioned, they are based in Canada. And they actually started as soap makers. I hope I'm getting that right, but you can read more about their story on their website. So either the owner, or if it was a family member of the owner, started a natural soap company. They're really focused on natural, toxin-free, skin-safe type products. And so they kind of molded that and went with the same direction with their candle company and their fragrance oils. So all of their fragrance oils are paraben-free, phthalate-free, and that has been their focal point. If that is a concern to you, you don't have to worry about which oils might have it and which oils might not. As I understand it, all of the oils fall into that category. Also, the name Morouge, I was curious. I was thinking from day one when they first reached out to me what the heck that meant. And so actually you can find it on their website, and I looked it up too. And Morouge actually means green open fields full of wildflowers. If you were curious, that is what Morouge means. So they are focused on natural, safe to work with, safe to use, paraben-free, phthalate-free, high quality fragrance oils. If you are interested in any of these, definitely check out each of their products on their website. You can get more information about their notes, their descriptions, pricing. They do sell in your common different increments like 4 ounce, 8 ounce, 16 ounces, and so on. So if you are interested in trying out any of these oils from Morouge, and they are all wonderful, I will leave a link to the website in the description below. And they have provided a discount code for all of you viewers on this channel to use if you are interested in trying out or sampling any of their oils. And that promo code at checkout would be WADE10. That is WADE10. Again, I will have that link in the description just in case. I would encourage you to use that if you want to sample or try out any of their oils. And I was told that as of now, that is good through August 31st. I do know that the owner is a subscriber and does watch this YouTube channel, so if they have any additional information they would like to share, I would encourage them to do so, and be out on the lookout for any information that they might want to add on as well. Thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this review. I just wanted to say thank you one more time for them to sending in these oils to check out on the channel. I did really enjoy them, and I do have a couple personal favorites myself, and I would be curious from all of you, if any of you used this company before, or if you haven't, which of these oils seem to appeal to you the most? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is that they are a growing fragrance oil company. They've been in business for 7 years, but they started selling fragrance oils recently. They do have more than the ones that I just reviewed here today, but they are adding more as well in the future. Thank you all for stopping by and for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks.